House Democrat Chairman Pete Aguilar says Democrat objections to supporting Israel's right to self-defense is exactly the same as Republicans who question a blank check for Ukraine.
There are some members of your caucus who have felt differently about Israel, have been critical of Israel. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez spoke in very stark terms about AIPAC yesterday. Can you kind of characterize this schism among some Democrats when it comes to this Israeli policy right now, and what that means for the party where you have this breakdown?
I think members are going to have different perspectives on this, and I think that that's fair, and I think that's part of legislating. We come from different regions. We're influeน์by different constituents. There are members on the other side of the aisle who have said no, never for Ukraine assistance too. So I hope, Chad, you ask them those questions too. That the wide schism among House Republicans on aid to Ukraine.
Oh, hold on a second here. No, saying no blank check doesn't mean nothing. And AOC actually said that AIPAC had supported January 6th. So there's a huge difference. Now AOC is blaming the Jews. All right, my next guest needs no introduction. He is the author of the book, The War Against the Jews, How to End Hamas's Barbarism. Alan Dershowitz, welcome back to the program. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me on and giving me a chance as a Democrat to attack the squad, the AOCs, the Ilan Omers, and the other bigots, racists, and anti-Semites at the extreme left wing of the Democratic Party who would love nothing more than to see Israel destroyed and ultimately see America destroyed. You know, you scratch an anti-Israel person and you get an anti-American person pretty quickly. And these squad members of Congress, they don't like America. They don't like the Judeo-Christian tradition. They don't like liberty. They stand for the kind of tyranny that Hamas stands for.
You know, in high school, we took a field trip to Harvard, and I remember walking around thinking, I'm never getting in here. Nope, no way. Harvard is a beloved institution to you. We all know your history and your biography and your resume. When you look at what's going on that campus right now, what are your feelings?
There are students at Harvard who, if there was terrorism coming to the United States, if synagogues were attacked, the schools were attacked, there are students currently in Harvard that would join the Hamas terrorists, that would engage in terrorism against Israel. Now, consider there is a student there. His first name is Ibrahim. He is on the Harvard Law Review, and he has been accused of harassing and, according to some reports, knocking down a Jewish student. He also, the day after the horrible beheadings and rapes, was part of a group that signed a statement blaming it all on Israel. Would you trust a man like that to be your lawyer? Do you think any law firm in the country should hire a bigot, an anti-Semite, an un-American person like that? I don't. And I want to see the names of every single Harvard student who signed those petitions. I want to see those names published. That's not doxing. That's part of the First Amendment, freedom of speech. You sign a petition, your name becomes public. You harass a Jew, your name becomes public. You hurt a Jew, we sue you. That's the new motto. We're not letting anybody get away with the kind of anti-Semitism that we're seeing on college campuses today. Donors are withdrawing their support. I'm just a small donor, but I'm not giving anything to Harvard or to Yale or to New York City College, where I went as a student, until they have a reckoning with their history of anti-Semitism. Yeah, you're showing the event where these students harassed a Jewish student just because he was Jewish. If it reminds you of a distant place at a distant time, one should not be surprised.
I could send you, as a conservative, a bumper sticker that I sell on my radio merch site to bolster your point. It goes, your freedom to be you includes my freedom to be free from you. You could say whatever you want. I don't have to hire you. Talk to me about the book. How do we end Hamas's barbarism?
By ending Hamas room in the Middle East or in the world, because, you know, if it succeeded in destroying Israel as it wants to do, as in the charter, it would come after the United States next. It would send people through our open borders. It would send people as immigrants. That's what it did in Israel. It sent 15,000 people a day to work in Gaza to make a living, to help their families. And a bunch of those people turned out to be spies providing Hamas information about where families lived and could be killed. And we don't want that fifth column in the United States. So we have to destroy Hamas. Maybe there'd be some prospects for peace in the Middle East without Hamas. With a Hamas, the best thing that could happen to the Palestinian people would be the end of Hamas. But the Palestinian people today support Hamas, and they support them more after the barbarism than they did before. So don't tell me this isn't a war between Israel and the Palestinian people. There are innocent Palestinian people, but the Palestinian people as a whole are like the German and the Japanese people as a whole in the Second World War. When you declare war, one country against another, then you have to be ready for a total war, and you know your civilians will be killed. How many millions of civilians were killed in the Second World War? How many tens of thousands were killed when we fought against Al Qaeda and Osama bin Laden? So civilians die in war. It's all the fault of Hamas. Hamas places its leaders in ambulances as of today, in hospitals, in places where they know civilians will be, putting Israel to the terrible choice. Either allow our rockets to kill your civilians or bomb our rockets, and thereby some civilians will be killed. But you know, you want an example from common life. Let's assume I hold up a bank and I grab you as a hostage, and I start shooting and killing people in the bank, tellers and customers. And a brave policeman comes and tries desperately to shoot me, the hostage taker, but accidentally shoots the hostage and kills him. Who's guilty of murder? Not the policeman whose gun fired the shot, but the hostage taker. And that's who Hamas is. They're responsible for every single death that occurs in Gaza.
I will say this, we're going to run out of time, but the people that are trying to both sides this in the media don't understand that Israel is not at this war because it wants to kill Muslims. It wants to defend its nation. I could give you quotes from G.K. Chesterton, I won't waste the time. No amount of foreign aid or humanitarian aid or even economic development is going to stop their desire, along with Hezbollah in Iran, to kill people because they're Jewish.
It's in the charter of Hamas. There's no doubt about it. And any Harvard student that supports Hamas is supporting anti-Semitism. And if you support Hamas in a material way, you're guilty of a crime, because it's a crime to support a designated terrorist organization, which Hamas is and Hezbollah is, in a material way. And some of these students are getting awfully close to providing material support and thereby becoming criminals.
Did you ever have anyone like this in any of your sections of class?
No. The toughest student I ever had in any of my classes was Ted Cruz. He talked back to me. He was brilliant, and he made me answer every possible conservative argument in the world. He was a great student as a result of that. No, I never had a student that I know like this, but I probably did have some students that would support Hamas, but I didn't know it.
It's just amazing that our institutions of higher learning that, you know, allegedly take the best and the brightest of our high school graduates have descended into this most illiberal, I think that's the word, sir, the most unprogressive and most illiberal type of thinking.
Well, and they don't the best and the brightest, but they no longer do that under all kinds of diversity, inclusion, and equity principles. They pick people often not based on meritocracy, but based on identity politics. And one of the consequences of this is to have turned these schools into bastions of anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, anti-Christianity, because the Judeo-Christian tradition is what these people hate. What they hate is meritocracy. What they hate is the American way. And, you know, if you don't stop Hamas in the Middle East, it's coming to a theater near you.
I got to leave it there. The book is The War Against the Jews, How to End Hamas's Barbarism. Professor Dershowitz, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.